Okay, in this video we are going to solve Pure Math 1 May 2023 paper. Let's go to question number 1. The question number 1 is inequality. This is from P1 chapter 3. There is a subtopic called quadratic inequality. So what you need to do, you need to put everything one side. So you will get 4x squared minus 7x minus 3 minus 4 minus 7x. 7 minus 9 is minus 2 is greater than or equal to 0. In order to solve the quadratic inequality, you need to solve this quadratic equation first to find the two roots or two critical values. You can use your calculator straight away and find the two values. I'm going to put it in my calculator. 4 minus 7 minus 2. I got the value x is equal to 2 and x is minus 1 over 4. But there is a problem. If you straight away write the solution, you will lose more. You need to show some steps here. So you can write it as x minus 2 times 4x plus 1. Or if you want, you can write one more step here. 4x squared minus 8x plus x minus 2. Anyway, we need to get the two x values. Now the best way to solve quadratic inequality is by sketching a little graph. Remember this, there is no marks for the graph. So just make it a simple one. Two values. And pay attention to the coefficient of x squared. It's a positive number, so the graph is going to be a U-shaped graph. You need to label the axis and I'll check. This is just for our reference. Now, when they say greater than or equal to 0, this is y actually. Y is greater than or equal to 0. So they are talking about the graph that lies above x-axis. These two pieces of graph. So the corresponding x values are the solution, this one and this one. So the solution is x is less than or equal to negative 1 over 4 or x is greater than 2. That's the solution, that's how you solve it. But you need to put a equal also here. Sometime they might ask you to write the answer in a set notation, using set notation. So in that case, the same solution, right? You need to write it in this way. You put a set bracket x semicolon x is less than or equal to negative 1 over 4 union, or means union in set notation. The second one, x is greater than or equal to 2. That's how you write the solution using set notation. If the same question says instead of this less than or equal to 0, they are talking about this piece of the graph, the piece that lies below the x-axis. So the corresponding x value is this, minus 1 over 4 to 2. That's the solution if it's less than or equal to 0. So you should learn the quadratic inequality very clearly. And then if the coefficient of x squared is a negative number, you will get an upside down graph, so everything will be flipped, everything will be changed, swapped. Okay, so it's an easy 4-mark question. Now I'm going to move on to question number 2. Question number 2 is a word problem. In this question, you must show all stages of your working. Solutions relying entirely on calculated technology are not acceptable. Okay. A rectangular sports pitch has length x meters, width y meters. They used to ask this type of questions back in 2019-2020, and then after that we didn't see much of this type of questions actually. So in 2023 they ask again, you see. So what we can do, we can draw a little diagram for our reference. A rectangular pitch, length x, width y, x is bigger than y. Okay. Given that the perimeter is 350, how to find the perimeter of this shape? X plus x, y plus y, right? So 2x plus 2y is equal to 350. They just want you to frame an equation in terms of x and y. This is already correct, but since there is a common factor 2, you can divide everything by 2. X plus y is equal to 175. Both are correct. You don't need to divide by 2, you will still get the 1 mark. It's just a 1 mark question. The part B of the question. Now, given also that the area, how do you find the area? Length times the width, which is 7350, and we already got an equation x plus y is equal to 175 from part A. Now, this one is the answer for part B. They just want you to write the equation. 1 mark question. Now we need to solve the simultaneous equation. That's a 4 mark question. Okay, from this one you can write x is 175 minus y. Sub in this in here. X times, x is 175 minus y times y is equal to 7350. Frame a quadratic and solve. You will put everything this side. You will get y square minus 175y is equal to 7350. Sorry, not equal to 7350, plus 7350 is equal to 0. I'm going to use my calculator straight away. 1 minus 175, 7350. So I got y is equal to, or y1 is equal to 105, y2 is equal to 70. As I told you already, when it comes to solving the quadratic equation, you cannot just write the solution. You need to write one more step here. So I'm going to write it as y minus 105 times y minus 70 is equal to 0. So you won't lose the method more. So you got two y values. You need to sub in these 2 values in here and find the 2x values. So we know x plus y is 175, and we got y is equal to 105, and so if y is 105, x is 70. If y is 70, x is 105. But the question clearly says x is bigger than y. So you need to take this solution. Therefore, you need to write it very clearly. X is equal to 105, y is equal to 70. So all you need to know, whenever you get questions like these word problems, you should be able to change the word problem into a mathematical expression. And then if you want, you can draw a figure also to assist you in solving this question. So frame an equation here, another equation, and solve simultaneous equation. It's easy, 6 marks now. I'm going to move on to question number 3 now. Question number 3. This is one of the most common question in P1 exam. They are going to ask you to write the quadratic function into any one of this form. It can be this way or any one of this. So if you see this, that's completing the square. You should have learned completing the square method. You see how I am applying the method? We have 3x square plus 12x plus 13. You can take 3 out from the first 2 terms, x square plus 4x. And then take the coefficient of x, which is 4. Take half of 4 is 2. You need to put plus 2 square minus 2 square. If you are wondering what I'm doing here, that's completing the square method. So you can write it as x plus 2 whole square by combining the first 3 terms. And then you have minus 2 square, which is minus 4 and a 3 outside, plus 13. Open the bracket now and take this 3 and multiply both. You will get 3 times x plus 2 whole square minus 12 plus 13. When you simplify minus 12 plus 13, you will get plus 1. And then write A, B, C. A is the number outside the bracket, B is the number inside the bracket, C is the number standing all alone. So some of the students ask me, do I need to write this? Okay. If you don't want to write this, I would say you are scared actually, because you are scared to take the values. When you take the values, you might miss out a sign, a positive sign or negative sign. You need to be confident enough to write the values very clearly. So I would definitely suggest you to write these values. Always compare this with this and carefully take the ABC values. For example, they want you to write it in this form, minus C, let's say. When you compare this and this, what would be the ABC? A is the number outside the bracket, minus B is positive 2. This minus B is positive 2, so B is negative 2. The same way, minus C is positive 1, so C is negative 1. So you have to compare carefully and write the values of ABC clearly. I would definitely suggest you to write the values of ABC. So that's all. I'm going to move on to the second part of the question. They want you to sketch the graph now. Don't assume that this is the actual function given in part A. Check carefully, okay? But it's the same function, I guess, yes. And your sketch show clearly the coordinates of y-intercept and the turning point. In part A, we got this actually, 3 times x plus 2 whole square plus 1. Using this, you can find the turning point easily. Minus 2, 1 is the turning point. Always remember the number inside the bracket, right? Change the sign of it, and the number standing all alone, take it as it is. That's the coordinates of the turning point. Okay. Now, to sketch the graph, first you need to find the x-intercept. So you need to basically solve it. You don't need to show any steps because we are just finding the x-intercept. I'm going to put it in my calculator. 3, 12, 13. I get a complex number, usually a number with I got this actually, root 3 by 3i. That's a complex number. In other words, this equation has no real solution. That means the curve will be like this. It will not touch or pass through the x-axis. Okay, so no x-intercept. And then if you replace x by 0 to find the y-intercept, this is 12x plus 13. This becomes 0, this becomes 0, y is 13. So the y-intercept is 0, 13. That's all we need. We can sketch the graph already. You need to be very careful. First, mark the turning point, minus 2, 1. X is minus 2, y is 1. I'm going to mark the point here. And the coefficient of x square is positive, so it's going to be a U-shaped graph. Like this. Sorry, that's the turning point actually. And then you put the y-intercept here. Label the axis and the origin. Mention the turning point also, otherwise you will lose mark. So this is the required graph. We have mentioned the turning point, y-intercept and everything already. 3 mark question. Let's move on to question number 4 now. Question number 4, part A is from chapter 1. You need to apply laws of indices to write this in this format. So it's basically y is equal to 5x square plus square root of x cube. You can write it as x cube power half divided by cube root of 8x. You can write it as 8x power 1 over 3. Cube root is power 1 over 3, right? Which is equal to 5x square. The laws of indices says you can multiply the powers if you have like this. So x power 3 over 2 divided by, you distribute the power 1 over 3 for 8 and x. 8 power 1 over 3, x power 1 over 3. So that's going to be 5x square plus x power 3 over 2 divided by 8 power 1 over 3. Use your calculator. It's 2 x power 1 over 3. So we just need to divide both terms by 2x power 1 over 3 separately now. So it's going to be 5x square by 2x power 1 over 3 plus x power 3 over 2 divided by 2x power 1 over 3. And simplify the powers of x and the numbers, you will get this already. So you can write it as 5 over 2 x power 2 minus 1 over 3 for the first term. 1 over 2 x power 3 over 2 minus 1 over 3. So it's going to be 5 over 2, that's the A, and then x power 6 minus 1, 5 over 3, plus 1 over 2. You simplify this, you can use your calculator to simplify. 9 minus 2 is 7 over 6, 3 3s are 9, 3 over 2 minus 1 over 3. So you will get x power 7 over 6. That's the answer. You have to be very careful here, because if you make a little mistake, you not only lose the marks in part A, you will lose the complete marks in part B also, because part B is a continuation of this. They want you to differentiate the function. So first write the function y is equal to 5 over 2 x power 5 over 3 plus 1 over 2 x power 7 over 6. Differentiate it. Dy by dx is equal to, I have seen students straight away write that they put the power in front, they simplify using calculator and straight away write the answer here. I would never suggest you to do that. You will lose a method mark. So write one step. 5 over 3 x power 5 over 3 minus 1. That's how we differentiate, right? 1 over 2, 7 over 6 x power 7 over 6 minus 1. And then simplify, you'll get 25 over 6 x power 2 over 3 plus 7 over 12 x power 1 over 6. That's it. You'll be given 3 marks for this. So what I was saying, if you don't write this step, you will get 0 mark, even though your answer is correct, because there is no method here, there is no working here. So you need to write this step and then simplify and write the answer. Let's move on to question number 5 now. Question number 5 is from chapter 7, radians. So whenever you get a question from radians, this question is at least okay. You have a simple figure given. Sometimes the figure is going to be one ugly figure with a lot of information. So what you need to do first, usually in the first few steps, they're going to describe the figure. So as you read these steps, these information given in the question, time to time look at the figure and understand it first before you start solving it. It says figure 1 shows the plan for a garden. In this plan, OA, CD are perpendicular to OD. As you can see, CD is also perpendicular, OD is also perpendicular to this, OA is also perpendicular. Okay, so these two are perpendicular. If you want, you can put a little box here just to show it's perpendicular. Okay, AB is an arc with circle center over radius 4. This is an arc. So if this is 4, this is also 4. You need to look for all this hidden information. BC is parallel to OD. This BC is parallel to OD. Okay, good. These two are parallel. I'm going to put a mark here, arrow here. Okay. CD is 1.5 given here. OD is 6 given here. OA is 4. So that's all. Usually they are going to describe the figure. Show that angle AOB, this angle, let's take it theta, is 1.186 radians. How are we going to prove this? You can probably pause the video and think about it for a minute. How are you going to find? You have all the information needed here. You just need to use a little bit of critical thinking here. What you can do, you draw a line here. This is also 90 degree, this is 1.5, right? Let's say if you can find this theta, I'm gonna take it theta 1, theta 2. If you can find theta 1, theta 2 is automatically the 90 degree minus theta 1, isn't it? How to find theta 1? If you look at this shape, I'm gonna take it as a E this point. I'm gonna take this triangle separately. B, E, this is a right angle triangle. We have theta 1 here. This is 4, 1.5. You can use SOHCAHTOA to find theta 1. So sine theta 1 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So theta 1 is sine inverse of this. Find the value, use your calculator in radian mode, and then straight away sub in this value in here to find theta 2. So sine inverse of 1.5 over 4 is 0.38 something, which we don't need actually. If you want, you can write the value actually. Theta 1 is equal to 0, but don't ever round the figure. You can round the figure only at the end and sub in the place of theta 1 here. So theta 2 is going to be minus pi over 2. I got theta 2 is equal to 1.186 to 4 significant figure. You need to do one more thing here. Actually, the number has so many decimal digits, 3, 9, 9, 5, 5, 2, etc. etc. So let's say if you ever happen to use this value into part B or part C, you cannot use the rounded value. You need to use the actual value. So you have this store option in your calculator. You need to find out how to store the value. So I'm going to store this value as A. So whenever I want theta 2 in my further calculation in part B or part C, instead of taking the rounded value, I'm going to use this letter A, which is stored. This value has been assigned as A, has been stored as A. So you need to do that immediately and put a little reference there just to remind us that it has been stored as A. So that's it. It's a 2-mark question. I'm going to move on to part B now. Part B says find the perimeter of the garden, giving your answer to 3 significant figure in meters. They say everything is given in meter. Now we need to find the perimeter. You see, we don't need all this thing. We need to find the perimeter of this shape. Probably I'll put the shape here. We need to find the perimeter. So basically you need to find this length and the arc length, and you already have 4 here, 6 here, this here. Add everything, you will get the perimeter. Now AB is the arc length. So the AB is equal to, the formula for arc length is r theta. So this is what I was talking about. The radius is 4, but the theta from part A we marked as theta 2, right? You need to use the actual value, which was 1.186399, not the rounded figure. You need to use the actual value. That's when I'm going to put it in my calculator. I'm going to write it as 4 times A because I stored this value as A. So I got 4.7455, etc. Let's not round the figure. I'm going to store it as B again. Okay. And then let's find the length BC now. How to find the length BC? If you draw a line here, this is 1.5. This is a right angle triangle. This is 4. Using SOHCAHTOA, if you can find this length OE, The total length is 6 meter. So from 6 meter you can subtract OE to find ED, which is same as BC. Understand what I'm talking about? You need to use Sokotawa. So cos theta, this was marked as theta 1. Cos theta 1 is adjacent OE over, adjacent is not 6, 6 is the total length, OE divided by hypotenuse. So OE is equal to 4 times cos theta 1 is what we calculated in here actually. In part A, this value, we did not store the value in our calculator, so I'm going to use sine inverse of this. Sine inverse of 1.5 by 4. So I got 3.7080 etc etc. Subtract from 6. So I will get BC, which is same as ED, is equal to 6 minus this value, 2.2919 etc. I'm gonna store it as C again. So in this figure, now to find the perimeter, I have all these values. I have 4, 6, 1.5. This length I stored it as C in my calculator. This arc length I stored it as B in my calculator. So I'm going to add everything to find the perimeter now. So the perimeter is equal to 4 plus 6 plus 1.5 plus the arc length 4.74555 etc. plus the BC 2.2919 etc. And the final answer, whatever you are getting, round it to 3 significant figure. 4 plus 6 plus 1.5 plus B plus C. So when I added everything, I got 18.5374 and all. They want 3 significant figures, so 18.5 meter. That's the perimeter. Hope you guys understand my explanation. I'm gonna move on to part C now. Part C says find the area now. Find the area of this shape. Okay. So what we can do, we can divide the irregular shape into some regular shapes. You can find the area of this sector. So area is equal to half r square theta, which was 1.186 etc etc, plus if you divide this shape in here, we calculated the value of BC already, so you can find the area of this rectangle, which is 1.5 times the value of BC is in here, 2.291. Luckily I saved it as C, so don't use the rounded figure, 2.191 etc etc, plus to find the area of this shape, you need to use half base times height. Half height is 1.5, base is the total length 6 minus this length, so basically 6 minus the length of BC, 2.191 etc. This will give you the total area. So I got the answer 15.71 etc. They want 3 significant figure, so 15.7 meters square. That's the answer.